Welcome back, baby dolls. You're going to get a big, fat, juicy macro update coming your way. We're going to go through if the cryptocurrency cycle is still on track. Let me spoil it for you. Yes, it is. Starting off with this beautiful chart. All of these charts courtesy of my friend Rara, Miss Raul Powell, presenting all these charts out here. Don't mid-curve it. Riding the banana zone. The family-friendly banana, of course. These are colors. The first thing you notice of this chart is that there are colors here, friends. And if you notice where we are right now, we're in the orange, which is like a hot summer vibe, right? Things are about to get hot. Altcoins will pop like popcorn. After that, it's cool winter. Okay, now don't pay all the world's attention to the color length because they're about a year, okay? Remember, the crypto 4-year cycle is more of a myth. It's more coinciding with the 4-year government debt rollover cycle. Now, there's been a bit of stitch-ups with that so far because major loser Jerome Powell has had the tiff with Donald Trump, and they have to do short-term debt rollover, which is what I guessed. They really want to do the long-term debt rollover. Yeah, but they need like massively low rates, right? So it's going to have to resolve itself somehow. So what's happened, if you go to the yellow area, friends, 2012, 2016, and 2020, in those years, the government did 4-year debt rollover printing, all right? All of it. And a zombie virus accentuated it. Now, it all started in 2008 when the world economy died, right? I've told you many times. Now, here we have 2024. But here's the thing, right? See, we never really got a big thrust. We didn't. They have been doing their global liquidity printing, but they haven't done the big, beautiful pump part. Why? Well, obviously, the interest rates are the issue. So how's that going to resolve itself? Don't worry about that. You might mid-curve it with me. We're never going to mid-curve it. We'll believe. That's it. Don't stop believing. It's a believer's cycle. How's it going to resolve itself? I don't know. I'm just here. I know it's going to resolve itself. Check this out. So remember, we're in the orange column. Hot pump, hot pump, hot pump. Where we go parabolic. If you know this, in the parabola over here, we go parabolic. We go parabolic. This was truncated garbage. Okay, we go parabolic. Now, the 2021, one of the reasons why it was truncated garbage was the economy got really weak. You know, really weak. I know we're thinking, oh, printing money and stuff out here, but like, man, you really shock people when it comes to putting a world zombie virus. And then their official release was they go, well, you know, there was a Zubat, had sex with a Pokeball. Guess what? Zombie virus came out. Not buying it. Now, what I'm going to do now is actually crank it a bit with you. Look at these charts. I know they're just charts and squiggly lines. Oh, wow, what's so exciting about that? I'll tell you what's exciting about it. The forward leading indicators of these is 9 months. You see the red? What this implies is, see, this actually goes into 2026. What this implies, friends, is that the business ISM is going to be 55 at around Q2 next year. Uh-oh. 4-year cycle. What? Yes, very interesting. So what I'm going to show you is, look at the first chart here. Look at ISM, friends. It peaks exactly with their financial conditions index that they made. So I think they plug in like global liquidity and oil and tree notes and whatever it is, just financial conditions, yeah? You notice that? Look, when the financial conditions are up with everything, when everything's stimulatory, it peaks together and then they drop together. Look what ends up happening next. Financial conditions go down. Why did this all go all the way down, baby dolls? Well, why did they go down? Look what happened. Oil stayed high. The US dollar went up. Everyone's getting squeezed. So our conditions have gone down, right? Even though we don't have a recession, everything still feels garbage, doesn't it? Right? So people stayed employed, but yes, no one really feels like they can let go now. All right. So you've seen those two charts, right? The second chart is the most, it's really, really cool because the second chart is the forward lead. Okay, so notice how it's been a nice predictor of what happens. Okay, so what's coming next is up only. Yeah, business ISM. Remember, friends, this is literally just the overlay of your baby doll, aka me, and the business ISM cycle chart that I always see. There you go. This is the ISM, right? So it's pretty much what it's saying is, based off these, is if we go to Q2 of next year, so the month of June, it's saying 55 ISM. Wow. And we're right here. So it makes sense, right? When you look at this chart, you're like, even like this is the funny part. A grandma could draw that. They're like, oh, of course, you've gone down for a long time. You're probably going to do up. I mean, look at this chart, up and down, up and down, up and down. So this is probably going to do it. The thing is, though, to believe the cycle, and a lot of people are stuck in 4-year cycle mentality holding. It's gonna be, friends, it's probably gonna come down to the wire. Okay. What does business ISM 55 mean here? Well, remember when business ISM goes up, people take on risk. The thing though is that crypto tops out before everything else. So we go explosive, but then we top out. So if you check out, see these boxes, friend, that's why I've drawn these boxes to let you know. Look where alt season wave 1 and alt season wave 2 happened. Okay, they happen literally here. Crazy. Right? You check it out. And then we literally peaked December here. Alt season wave 1, alt season wave 2. That's wild. So you notice this little box. See that box? That's your sell point. Yeah, that sell point is, yeah, it's like a 9-month window. So it's not like, oh, sell 1 point. But yeah, it's a 9-month window. There's alt season wave 1 and wave 2. We have had nothing so far. All right. And yes, also notice that this is another thing. Business ISM, right? See, look at this. Crypto peaks here. This is the last point for crypto to peak. And the economy's rolling over, my gosh, a year and a half later. A year later, okay? It's slowing down. So you already know a year after alt crypto's peaked, bro, we're at the bottom of the bear market. Yeah, so we've dropped 95% for alts. Bitcoin's dropped, 70, 80, 90%, whatever. Yes. Look at the same thing here as well. In 2018, this is pretty much when altcoins peaked. They had the second wave, right? Alt season wave 2. This is where, XRP hits us $3. Corridanzo does the big move. Verge did a 1000x. Ethereum hit 1400, all up here. Look what ends up happening. So if you go walk forward 12 months, here you are. Business ISM is still 55 because you went up to a value of 60 here. This is business ISM 60. This is Trump's first cycle, right? Now he's still 55, but it's literally game over. Yeah. That's why altcoins and crypto, they do happen. It's risk on. It's part of the curve. They don't last forever. We know this now. Okay. I hope you're now kind of seeing this small window of time. But a lot of people, everyone gets stressed, right? They're like, oh, but how do we know we're going to be on top of it? How do we know? Well, you don't know, but there'll be a mania. Okay, but that's why it also brings anxiety and stress to everybody because they're like, oh, if I miss it, there's a lot of pain. But yeah, there's signs to get us there, man. There's a lot of people coming in, grandmas and grandpas and Ty Lopez and billion-dollar raises for public ICOs, and just things get really, really, really wacky, and you see a lot of warning signs. So the thing is, friends, we haven't seen enough big essays about people saying the cycle is definitely over here. See, they have to make stuff like that, and then they're going to be wrong because the market's going to go up a bit higher 2 weeks later, and then a bit higher 4 weeks later, and then a bit higher 3 weeks later, When you see a lot of those essays of those people just being scared to write the essays that it's all over, that's when you're like, oh, maybe we pay attention now. We haven't even started to see, imagine Eric Wall. He hasn't even written his first essay about why it's all over for crypto, So that's why we might see the same thing here. It'll be interesting when we actually get to what we call the top. Remember, we peak out first and the S&P 500 rolls off later. But yes, it is interesting that the 9-month lead for these, it's saying we're running into next year. It's a believer cycle, isn't it? Check this out, friends. This is business ISM on the bottom, cyclical, and this is the top is Bitcoin's chart. You see? Bitcoin peaks with the business ISM peaks, Remember, I just showed you Bitcoin peaks early, right? It peaks early. But so you can't trade off this chart. But what I can tell you is I'm not giving up, so I can't tell you what to do, right? I've also got the ETH BTC ratio here, which is overlay. You can see it in the red as well. I'll just hide it. See, I'm not giving up. Why am I not giving up? Right, obviously, you're like, hey, but, you know, when moon? Well, I'm not giving up because business ISM hasn't even crossed above 52 yet. I know a lot of people might say it's over, blockchain backer and everyone else out here. I'm like, whatever, man. We haven't even started. Business ISM hasn't even hit 52. Also, check this out. Look at this. The correlation between altcoins and ISM. Look at this. Altcoins as a percentage of Bitcoin's total market cap. This is literally probably like total 3. This is total over BTC ratio, total BTC. Remember here on this channel, I use others BTC, but it doesn't matter. They all have the same stuff. It's all the same thing. You know what I mean? It's pretty much just like the others BTC. Goes up together, goes down together, right? Altcoins are risk on, okay? Hyper growth, hyper fast, hyper gambly. But you need to be in the mood for altcoins, right? People are very sensitive. People have to see people winning for them to throw stuff in, right? I mean, look at the pump fund right now. Pump fund, you know, nothing graduates. There's toe jam everywhere because everybody's sucking on the toes of the LA Vape Cabal, getting rinsed. You know, I've shared with you, like Aiden Ross pretty much comes out and says, yeah, their grip is dumping on everyone. They are grifting everyone, you know? So, but when people lose money like that and they're like, oh, I don't want to play the game anymore, they go home. They take their Pokeball and they go home. But on the plus side, when people see that they can make money and things are actually working and there's a new unlocking of demand, no one wants to leave. I haven't seen that yet. So this is beautiful, right? This correlation. You can see that. That's why, friends, when you see Bitcoin dominance high and everything out here, I've told you Bitcoin maxes are just going to be intergalactically embarrassed. And I hope you appreciate this in the future when it all plays out and you start to see what I've been talking about. When I say altcoins are an extension of Bitcoin, they are the infrastructure. And eventually the economy is going to pick up. We are going to get some sort of boom. People aren't going to touch pet rock. They're just not. Okay, and then you're going to see the unwinding of all the Bitcoin treasuries. Not all of them, but, you know, you're going to see the leverage unwind. They're going to see them think about yield and Ethereum and soy and everything else. They're going to indulge in all of those, and they'll realize, oh my gosh, they got into the slow horse in a bull market, which is BTC, right? Because they haven't gone through the pain you have of bear market stuff where altcoins go to zero. They haven't really felt that, you know? What's coming next for Bitcoin, friends? Bitcoin's heading higher. Okay, so this is a global M2 3-month lead. Bitcoin heading higher. It implies, look at this. It implies, man, another doubling of Bitcoin, man. Look at this. If Bitcoin's plus 50% and this goes to plus 250%. Yeah, friends, it implies, I'm not joking, another 2 or 3x for BTC. I know it's wild. I'm just saying that's what the model says. This would be another 3x of BTC here. It implies a 250 to 300k BTC. Now, of course, the lines never exactly match up. They don't exactly match up, okay? But it's interesting, man. It really is. This is just implying, based off the past, very big moves. That's going to be fun. That's why it might just turn out to be Believer Cycle. Maybe we fake everybody out this year, 4-year cycle, cheaters get out, and then we run into next year. And then we make them all get back in. You know? We'll see. Believers only. The US dollar is also repeating the first term. So the US dollar has had its fastest collapse in history. 10% down for the year. But this is Donald Trump's first cycle. Why is that big? Because the Fed doesn't need to cut rates as much. Because 50% of the world debt is 360 trillion. Every percent that the US dollar moves is 1.8 trillion stimulus. Because 50% of the world debt is US dollars. So your purchasing power in other fiat currencies goes stronger as the US dollar goes down. But it's nice. All the macros repeating. It's nice, right? It's cool. Now, if you're wondering what happens here, there was another leg down for the US dollar right here. And that was that was ALTSEASON wave 2. And that's the actual bottom. We'll see. Here is a correlation of the S&P 500 on this latest tech run, following the exact same path. There was a capitulations here. This was, remember the Donald Trump tariff tantrum stuff. And maybe we just go up only for the stock market, man. Up towards 7,000. That'd be wild, man. But yeah, money debasement. That's what it all comes down to. So macro's on track. And showing you as well, global M2 with Nasdaq. So Nasdaq, friends, obviously is the tech index for America that has a 95% correlation to global M2. 95. And Bitcoin is 89.5%. That basically means they print money, we go up. Tech goes up. They print money, the currency units go into growth. That's it. They go up. They stop printing money, they go down. Beautiful. Excess fig up. Very, very similar charts out here when it comes to the price action. repeating the past. Now, this is interesting. I want to show you what I'm actually going to have to do is we'll play some angel music. So we've been suffering for a very long time. I want to show you how different this time was. Not by like me saying, oh, my opinion. No. Look how different this time was. This is global liquidity flow in the black line. Look what happened, baby dolls. Okay. We were contracting money 2022, 2023, 2024. Net contracting money in the world compared to the baseline. 12-month flow. Look at this. Look what happened in 2008. Look, this was QE1, by the way. They came in, they did the first stimulus, they come out, there's QE 1, 2, and 3 buried in here. See this? They print money, say it's net injection. This is zombie virus. And they're like, oh crap, inflation's so high, we've got to take all of it out. We've been suffering ever since. You see that? This is, friends, alt seasons, okay? So we had nice double bubble alt season here, pretty much. Alt season wave 1 and wave 2. There weren't that many coins back in 2013, but XRP got listed on the exchange in like the first 3 months of 2013, you know? So you had, basically it was good enough, you know what I mean? And Bitcoin went 100x, whatever, 1000x even, I think. Here you had as well, you had ticks here. See that? Beautiful, isn't it? 2013, 2017. Look at 2021, right? Look what we've had. Do you see? Good, great. But see, friends, this is, it's not that great. 2021, you're like, oh, they printed a lot of money. No. It's a response to how weak the economy was. You don't actually want to see that, you know? You would rather have seen something like that, because that means we didn't get a zombie virus. The economy stayed strong. People had more money. They're not worried about, you know, and everything else. But look what we've been suffering through. This, my friends, is our 4-year altcoin bear market. Look, I will go on record, and my record counts for nothing. We're never going to see this ever again, man. Okay. Later on, maybe next decade, we're not going to see this for a long time. I promise you that. We are way too scarred. No one's going to hold a single altcoin, man. They're just not. They're not. And what I mean by no one, I mean the weak hands aren't. Okay. The market, we are so far shook and destroyed from what's happened here that there's only strong hands that remain. Okay. So we're not going to see something like that. That's what markets do, right? So here we got every single weekend in the world. They're printing money forever. And then freaking hell, they all exit and we just have to recalibrate. So remember, it's just not my opinion about how we like, you know, the 4-year cycle and everything, but see that chart, the global liquidity going up and down. We've had a very bad period. So that explains why altcoins have never come so far, right? 4 years of pain. All of this because they printed for zombie virus 2020 very aggressively. And then, yeah, I've gone through everything here. It's been a long time. We should start to reverse this up. So hopefully we start to see this have a normal return again, right? But we'll see. Now, what about the numbers? Well, they are debasing currency at 8% per year. Yeah. It's literally 8% per year. So the Kippy's 3, they're debasing at like 6 or 8% per year. It's just, so you need higher than 8 to win. In the stock market, friends, look at this. In the stock market, so what do we have? We have a table here. I've shown you this before. Look at Bitcoin. It's going 134% per year annualized. This is the past 15 years though. Okay, so it's not as much here. Ethereum 121%. See these big numbers. You have soy here. Hopefully it continues up, but it's still above 100%. You know what I mean? Then you have Nasdaq 17%. That's why everyone in America loves Nasdaq. Oh, it's growing at 17%. Yeah, because they're debasing at 8. Right? So you got to beat 8% every year, and you're getting 17% in Nasdaq. That's the only thing you can do. Look how rubbish everything is. The stock market is doing 12% per year. Okay, so you had a bit of this like exorbitant fluff move for the past 15 years. But, you got to remember as well, if you go back 15 years, it's just after the crash as well, you know? So you started low, but it is what it is, okay? So the S&P 500, it hovers between 8 and 12, but they're debasing at freaking 8, you know? So that's why in stock market, you're only getting anywhere from a 2 to 4% on top of inflation. That's why you literally need 20 years to retire in stocks. because you just don't have enough purchasing power acceleration. Hence why everyone's coming to cryptocurrency. Look at all these other stuff that no one wants to touch. US small caps, that's Russell 2000 rubbish. Treasuries rubbish. High yield bonds rubbish. Look at these rates. 3%, 3, 3, 1, 6. Look what gold's done, friends. Gold, Uncle Peter Schiff, it's 5% for the past 15 years. 5% per year. That's about their money debasement, by the way. That's on average. And it's actually been growing up higher because when the table was made right before it was a big blow off, okay? So what can we conclude? You deserve a pump. That's what you can conclude from that, okay? Ha! You take that. So macro's on track. Everything's on track. But that's why, man. It's hard, friends. You know, your family, friends, and normies going, why doesn't crypto go up? And you're like, hey, send them this video. Here's a 20-minute video. Do you want to know the answer or are you just here to whinge? If you're here to whinge, move. If you want to know the answer, I've given you the answer. Every time I give you my macro updates, I go, look, everything's on track. That's the best part. But if you really want to know why we sucked, why everything went down, well, we are paying the price for the domino effect of zombie virus. Yeah? Because altcoins, they give you exceptionally large gains, but we need every traffic light to turn green. And if one thing is skits, everything collapses. That's exactly what we've seen. Because it takes a lot for people to let go and get really optimistic about the future now. Because they just went through zombie virus and then they had the massive rate hikes. It was such enormous volatility. And everyone's like, man, yeah, they just remember too much, you know. And now, obviously, history tells us that eventually they will let go. They will let go. Something's going to come, you know. Something's going to come. And I know you like coming because it's a family-friendly show. We don't know what it's going to be. If you knew what it would be, you just buy it and get 1,000x. You know, it could be some AI derivative or whatever it is. Okay. But eventually this economic boom will transpire, just seeping through the economy, and then we'll get, you know, that. So look, upside surprises, no one believes them. I don't even believe them either. Like, I'm like, wow, Bitcoin might hit 250K. I'm looking at the returns. I'm like, bro, oh man, you know, everyone's still got a lot of fear, Bitcoin dominance and everything going up. But when you look at it collectively, we've come this far. It's time for up only. But I still think, man, if it's really going to be a believer's cycle, there's probably going to come a critical point. And the market's going to go, hello, you know, like red pill, blue pill. Market's going to go, hey, if you really believe in crypto, you're going to hold beyond the 4-year cycle. You really want your riches, you got to hold beyond it. That's what I think. I don't think a believe in something cycle is going to end early. I don't even think it's going to end on time. I think it has to run later. I want it to run early. I want it to come early, friends. I want it to have paid by now many thousands of times, man. I'm just being completely honest. I'm removing myself from here. I'm watching the movie. Think about the hero's journey. Like, you know, the concept of a movie. It just you come on, man. Be honest, friends. If you weren't invested in crypto and there's something called like believe in something, the simulation writers, they crush your bones and your spirit, but you stay and then it all works out like a fairy tale, you know? So, I mean, like even the ISM, right? It's implying 55 ISM by next year, right? But here's the thing I want to show you as well. As I've shown you from the past, the business ISM, even though it was 55 after a while of time in 2021, it was coming down from 60. Okay, so here is 62. You can see it in the column here, this column here. So it was coming down, it was all over, right? So you never know, man. This is very unlikely, but like imagine Jerome Powell does get fired and they just start printing money, you know, and ISM goes to 60 up here, and then it's 55 by June next year. Then it's pretty much all over. Like, you know, it just does a pop and it just comes back down. That could happen. Seems unlikely though, but you never know. You know, it really could happen, friends. Oh my gosh, the biggest boom of all. And then just like, you know, but it's all outside of our control. For now, like I said, it's all on track, even though we want everything to go faster. It's just a matter of time now. Like, subscribe, belly button, or catch you soon.